All right, welcome to a new series we're doing. We're trying to do a little bit of NFL stuff. I know we're brand new and we're already trying to hit NFL stuff. Who do we think we are? Basically, Monday afternoons we're gonna do a video, a 4-pack of takeaways from week 2. Whatever piqued your interest. We're not gonna go. I used to go game by game, and I was like, you know what, this is boring. And I'm like sitting here, I'm like, it's
Wow.
called a 4-pack. It's the NFL Week 4 4-pack series.
Great start.
So
Great professional start.
So she's got it now. She knows. She was like, "What is this? This is not a Giants content. What the hell are you doing, boy?" Anyways, so this is it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I'm here with Justin Pennick. I'm Bobby Skinner. Bill O Brien was fired by the Houston Texans 15 minutes before we were doing this. And Justin, they were already a topic on this sheet because I predicted that I was like, they're going to be bad this year. Like, one, their schedule's tough. The Colts are better. I was like, they are going to miss DeAndre Hopkins. What DeAndre Hopkins meant for that team, like, he's just like the best wide receiver in the game, but he was Watson's guy. And I get that they have played tough competition. They played the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Steelers. The Vikings aren't tough competition this year, but nonetheless, like, they're a team that was in the playoffs last year. And they were 0-4, and they just sucked, man. And, like, the big stat I looked at them for, Justin, on third down, they were the 4th worst team on third down, and you saw it, where Watson was having to throw these contested throws, and where last year and years before, DeAndre Hopkins would make that play, and they had nobody to make that play.
The AFC is also just very tough to begin with. Very, very tough conference. I feel the NFC East and the NFC Least really brings down the NFC as a whole. We'll talk about them. But, Bobby, and it's not only just a matter of DeAndre Hopkins leaving, but you're looking at the alternatives. On the top of my head, can't even name you the starting tight end for the Houston Texans. Can't even do it. Will Fuller is a walking injury report appearance. So is Brandon Cooks. Randall Cobb is not the same guy that he was, and you can even make the argument that Aaron Rodgers made him pretty good in the first place. And my guy Kenny Stills, which they actually traded for last season, is not good, and he was dropping the ball even though he was good by like DVOA in 2019. So not great targets.
And what happened with Bill O Brien is literally just there's some bad stuff in there, but the DeAndre Hopkins trade, it just didn't make sense at all. Like, I get, like, they got a 2nd-round pick and David Johnson back. They got a 2nd-round pick for the best wide receiver in the NFL, and they got David Johnson, who's averaging less than 4 yards per carry this season, who's been, not been a big impact for them. A 2nd-round pick. I know this isn't some wild take, but getting a 2nd-round pick for DeAndre freaking Hopkins is unreal. And Hopkins he's looking like he's continued to look like the best wide receiver in the game. With Arizona, he has 39 catches, 397 yards, 1 touchdown. Now his yards per catch are down, but he's averaging 3 more catches per game for Arizona. They're using him in a different way, more sideline stuff where the Texans like to bring him over the middle. I actually like the way the Texans use him a little more, but different QBs with Kyler and Watson. But they have just flat out have missed him. And that's how a team that was, up by 3 touchdowns on the Super Bowl champs in the playoffs is 0-4. I get that it's tough matchups, but when you're a playoff team, when you have Deshaun Watson your QB, you can't start out 0-4.
And the thing is, I guess what O'Brien was relying on is we're just going to have the quarterback going to put the ball in places where it needs to be put, and Watson is just going to make tremendous plays. Bobby, Watson is a very, very good quarterback, and we just talked about the skill position players. David Johnson, Duke Johnson, not Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Let's just compare to Kansas City, since I feel like the Mahomes, Watson are always the quarterbacks that you compare to. And Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce aren't the skill position players. Even throw Sammy Watkins in there. They're not the skill position players that are present in Kansas City. But also, Deshaun Watson is not Patrick Mahomes. Deshaun Watson is not Russell Wilson. Is he very good? Yes, and even some of his accuracy numbers, they're pretty up at par. He's playing to how he's expected to play, but the lack of help that's around him, and also just the guys that they've acquired over time, and the guys that Bill O'Brien has acquired time. Laramie Tunsil, who is a solid player, but David Johnson, Brandon Cooks, Kenny Stills, Jacob Martin, who who are these guys that they're acquiring, but they're trading away and they're losing DeAndre Hopkins, Jadeveon Clowney, Davenport. So and they're trading away first-round picks on top of that.
They don't have a first-round pick or a second-round pick in next week's draft or next year's draft. That's unreal. It's unreal for Laramie Tunsil. And I like think about this. The Texans were like, hey, we'll go get Laramie Tunsil for 2 first-round picks, but we trade DeAndre Hopkins for less than a first. And you pointed out to me, Justin, that he named himself the play caller this morning.
That's the funny thing.
And that must have been like the straw that broke the camel's back with the ownership. Like, no, you are not doing it. And also, bad on the Texans. What did he ever do to prove himself to be a GM? And to relate that to Giants fans, that's why when Giants fans are like, well, we should just make Joe Judge the GM. It's like, no, wait, he hasn't. What has he proved to be the GM? So I don't know. The Texans are a mess. I don't know who they go out and get. They've already been rumored to Nick Caserio from New England and Josh McDaniels. I feel like Josh McDaniels would be another train wreck. I feel like he's a very similar person to Bill O'Brien. But, Texans 0-4. You think this gives them any spark going forward? Because I just think they're outmatched.
Does it give them any spark? That's tough. That's really – I mean, it depends on –
who do they play this week?
And it also depends on who they promote and how that guy is able to, like, portray any kind of message. Because also this early in the year –
the Jags this week.
This early – well, you would think the Jags would be a winnable game, and then hopefully –
Week 6 versus the Titans. That'll be the test to see where they are.
Yeah. So I did find that to be very funny, that the one last straw of self-promotion. How many times has this man promoted himself and without getting like substantial results? The thing
you know what
with
Bill
Texans,
O'Brien did? Then they're like, we're going to fire you. He's like, actually, no, I'm promoting myself to owner. I'm promoting myself to owner.
You're done.
I don't think we're going to do that. I don't think we're going to be moving on from me.
The thing with O'Brien is that you almost like it, especially as a coach coming in, because you always feel like the Texans have this curse of just having first-round playoff exits, and this even goes back with guys like Schaub and Andre Johnson and Arian Foster and teams like that. So you liked what he did at first, and then it was just very, very curious. You're right, where what did he exactly do to get the reputation of, okay, I'm also going to be the GM? It's almost like, I know, hey, almost turn it into talking sports. It's like Jason Kidd asking for general manager control after his first year with the Nets.
He's slandering
and the
Jason
Nets didn't
Kidd.
give it to him.
Don't
I'm
slander
sorry.
Jason Kidd. No, Jason Kidd can do no wrong. All right, let's hit up the rookie quarterbacks, Justin. Unfortunately, we haven't got to see Tua yet, but Justin Herbert has looked really good. We'll talk about him. Joe Burrow got his first win. I'll start off with this. Which of these guys have you been more impressed with, a quarter of the way through the season?
I mean, short sample size for Herbert. I want to say Burrow. Because, I mean, ask me 2 weeks from now, and if Herbert is still lighting up where he's throwing 30, 40 yards down the field and he's creating these game-changing, incredible plays where you want to talk about, putting points on the board and the quarterback being the reason why, these beautiful deep balls. And I find it to be totally ironic that a lot of the people, and I was kind of one of these people, a lot of people coming out of college, Justin Herbert just doesn't have that it factor. And Joe Burrow has that it factor where he could throw the ball down the field. He's aggressive. He has that vision. And lo and behold, kind of a role of reversals where Herbert's the one that's slinging it down the field and Burrow has been dinking and dunking. But I will say that I'm more impressed by Burrow because he's limited the mistakes. He's only thrown 2 interceptions so far on the year, 6 touchdowns. The completion percentage is almost 66%. Not sure what the expected completion percentage is. On target percentage is 60%. He's had a Bobby, you've been looking at the bad throw percentages. Is a 13.5 bad throw percentage something average, bad, good?
That sounds about average. It's not bad, I'll say that.
Yeah, so it's not bad. Why I'm more impressed with Burrow is because from his offense that he ran at LSU and from pretty much the reason why he was successful at LSU, and it was throwing the ball down the field, I'm more impressed that he's been able to dink and dunk and operate an offense in this type of manner and be somewhat successful with it while having, not the best offensive line in front of him versus Herbert, where right now, he's been throwing the ball down the field. That's been impressive, but I'm more impressed with the diversity from Joe Burrow to start.
All right, so we should do like a skip Stephen A thing on this where we pick sides because I'm on the opposite. I have been way more impressed with Justin Herbert. He's completing 72% of his passes, 310 yards per game, 8.7 yards per attempt. That's 2.4 yards more than Joe Burrow. The thing that's killing Herbert is he's had 2 back-breaking interceptions for his team. Like this against Tampa, he just threw a horrible interception, with in the the 2-minute, 4-minute drill. And then against Kansas City, the interception he threw early in that fourth quarter, where he could have ran forward. Speaking of QBs, he could have ran forward and thrown an interception. Herbert did the same thing as Daniel Jones this past Sunday, or he did that 2 Sundays ago. So it's the back-breaking interceptions that are killing him. But I always say, I don't judge rookie QBs on just like playing the results. What are you doing? Are you moving the ball downfield? And Herbert, man, he is getting the ball downfield. Yep. And he's completing over 70% of his passes in the meantime. So it has been more of like all or nothing with Herbert, where it's either deep or a check down real quick, where I do like Burrow working the field a little bit. But did you know Burrow on 20-plus yard air passes is 2 for 23 on the season?
That's supposed to be a strong suit.
It's different when you don't got those LSU guys. So that's
and
always my worries with these young guys, especially like Joe Burrow coming from that LSU team. It's like how do you compensate for not having the best players at every position? Now I think Burrow's done a good job with that, but it's from the guy who was killing it downfield, and that's what I loved about him the most. He's been struggling with that.
And the thing is, AJ Green could he be a shadow of himself, a former
seems like he's bad
version of himself, probably.
He has the worst separation in the league, I think.
But also Tyler Boyd, while in years past he did not get a ton of opportunities deep down the field, he has been one of the most productive pass catchers, 20-plus yards down the field. So they do have the options, even not necessarily A.J. Green. They do have the options there in Cincinnati to expand the field. So that completion percentage from 20-plus yards, not extremely encouraging. But also, you have to be just impressed with both of these guys because Herbert has shown that it factor. He's come out of the gate unexpectedly, by the way. I'm sure he didn't expect Tyrod Taylor to puncture his lung and then show Taylor. Up. What did I say?
Tyrod. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so Herbert has shown that it factor, and Burrow has diversified his overall portfolio approach, which I think both of those things are impressive within their own rights.
Yep. All right, let's move on. Like I said, this is a 4-pack. You get down it quick. The NFC East is putrid. We said it on Talking Giants last night, Justin, that this is why we always play the NFC East or the Cowboys week 1. It's because the NFL knows that if they don't put us against each other, that we will be through 4 games. Our leader in the division will have 1 win. 1 win. Second place in our division is 3 out of the top 6 picks in the draft right now would be from the NFC East. So the Eagles are in first at 1-2-1. The Cowboys are 1-3. Washington are 1-3. The Giants are 0-4. I don't think anybody views our Giants or Washington as a real competitor. And then one of these. So out of 3 wins, one of these is an in-division win. Washington that won over the Eagles. Now going into Sunday, I was like, hey, the Cowboys have played some good teams. Like they're not a great team, but they're better than anybody in the NFC East. I've changed my tune a little bit because I had the same thought last year. I had the exact same thought last year that like the Cowboys can beat up on bad teams, but we'll talk about the Browns. They got smoked by the Browns. They had a comeback. Their only win though is against the Falcons, and this was the same as last year, where the Cowboys looked great against these bad teams and they couldn't beat good teams, and the Eagles didn't look nowhere near as bad as this. Carson Wentz didn't look as bad as this, but they scrapped it out and they beat the Cowboys and won the division. So I've changed my tune. Even though, I'm not impressed with anything the Eagles are doing, I think the Eagles win this division.
Man, you go with talent, and the Cowboys have the talent.
They do.
And, because also
but they had it last year too.
How many good throws? Carson Wentz had an unbelievable throw last night. And besides that, you still feel like Carson Wentz still isn't Carson Wentz. If Carson Wentz can turn it around and start to look like that, on pace to be MVP self the year that the Eagles won the Super Bowl, then yeah, I'm with you.
But not that, though.
He's not. You're right. He's not. And I don't know what 49er team came out last night, especially in comparison to how they came out against the Giants. But the reason why I still say Cowboys, Bobby, you were one to talk about during the preseason that you actually thought that defenses were going to struggle out of the gate in this, COVID, NFL 2020 weird type of season, and offenses may actually have the leg up. Now, I was of the opposite thinking, so, if you're listening to this, trust whoever you want to trust. But
the offense has been scoring at record paces.
Cowboys defense has come out.
Giants.
The Cowboys have, offenses have been scoring at record paces. So am I correct? Wow, look at me. First thing
I'm correct. I said the offenses were going to score like crazy.
No, you said defenses were going to show. No, you did.
I always say every year the defenses catch on as the season goes along.
Yes. No, you're right. My bad. Bad radio.
How dare you?
So Cowboys offense, what has been the problem in Dallas and in East Arlington has been that defensive side of the ball. It's been lack of consistency in the secondary. I know Cowboys fans are not exactly happy that Earl Thomas is not on their team. And Dak Prescott has been doing what he has to do. And I know a lot of Cowboy fans have been really, really defending him. And I've seen tweets in regards to, I can't believe Dak Prescott has allowed all these points. And that's also made me laugh.
That is true. That's a good point. Dak is good. Dak is good. The issue is with all that talent, I think they feel like he should be more than good.
Right.
They are loaded on the offensive side of the ball. There's no, and I guess they have been putting up points, so there's no excuse. But you're right. The defense is the main issue there.
The Cowboys have 3 wide receivers that are better than all of the Eagle wide receivers, all of the Giant wide receivers, and all of Washington's wide receivers outside of Terry McLaurin.
I don't know. I feel like Slayton would look better. Well, you said outside of McLaurin?
I said outside of McLaurin.
Okay, because McLaurin's good. I feel like Slayton would look a lot better with, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, that O-line, and Zeke and Dak, if we're being real. So, anyways, who wins third place, Washington or the Giants? Just say the Giants.
If Washington makes a decision at quarterback and they put Kyle Allen in, they're going to finish in third place.
Please don't. Please don't. That's what Dwayne Haskins or Washington. Please don't. All right. Last on the list. I want to talk about this. Man, I am a Browns hater. I hate Baker Mayfield. I don't hate Odell. He definitely bothered me. I'm glad we traded him, even though we desperately need a wide receiver right now. So it's like in my head, I'm like, it's one of those things like, distance makes the heart grow fonder. I'm remembering the separation. I'm not remembering him literally going on TV and bashing his team, on a surprise interview right before I'm not remembering that stuff. But when they hired Kevin Stefanski, I said to myself, that is going to make that offense go. And then they sign Jack Conklin, who is a very good run blocker. I think he's kind of suspect in pass, but he's average. He's adequate enough. They draft Jedrick Wills. They sign Austin Hooper. Kareem Hunt comes back, after a year where he was suspended for half the season. And Kevin Stefanski in that outside zone. Nobody sells the play action better than him. And they added Bill Callahan, who I think is the best offensive line coach in the NFL. I said that offense was going to roll. It's not even going to be predicated on Baker Mayfield playing good. And look at Baker Mayfield's stats, 62.6% completion percentage. That's not bad, but it's also not top. It's not great. Less than 200 yards per game, and then 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So that ratio is good.
What's his is he the reason why the completion percentage? that completion percentage is not bad. Is he kind of expanding the field a little bit? So maybe that's why that's down a little bit.
I don't know, but his yards per game is less than 200. It's 186 yards per game.
They're clearly running the ball, though. They had 300 rushing yards. This past
are
Sunday.
they? They are averaging over 200 rushing yards per game. Over 200 rushing yards per game through 4 games. I don't care who your competition is. Through 4 games, that's nuts. They're averaging over 6 yards per carry. Their run game is just nasty. I watched Jedrick Wills for my offensive tackle breakdown, and you don't understand how many times that because they run the ball so well, that it's play action, and I don't realize until the play's over, like, oh, that was a pass, because I'm just watching the offensive line, and they sell it like crazy. That run game with play action. Now, it's been against bad teams. Like, they only scored 6 points against the Ravens, so I'm not sitting here saying the Browns are Super Bowl contenders.
Week 1.
Or even division contenders, because I would take the Steelers and the Ravens over them. But, man, that offense is going to roll under Kevin Stefanski. And look at the Vikings and how much they're missing Stefanski. Kirk Cousins has been garbage this year. He brought his touchdown interception ratio to 6-6 this week. But before that, he was throwing more interceptions than touchdowns. And the running game has been there for Minnesota, where, their running backs are averaging over 5 yards per carry. They're averaging 138 yards. Kevin Stefanski, man, he's a real deal offensive play caller, and he's getting the most out of that Browns team.
And you're finally seeing the talent pay off, where you have the two really good running backs that can do something, and they're diverse. And the fact that Chubb went down last week, we're just going to have Kareem Hunt, who was on the Kansas City Chiefs before the Chiefs kind of became the Chiefs, and that's going to be fine. It's just fun. It's fun to watch Stefanski. It's fun to watch the outside zone. It's fun to watch play action. It's where the NFL is going. It's what the best teams in the National Football League are doing. It's what the LA Rams are doing. So good for them. They have the talent. And Baker's actually top 10 in football. Everybody has a different version of QBR. Football Outsiders has their own version of QBR that takes into account of like drops and down and distance, clutch factor, yards after the catch, et cetera, offensive line. And Baker Mayfield's 10th. So the thing is, and this is what Stefanski and the Minnesota Vikings offense, even going back to Pat Shurmur, was famous for, not asking their QB to do too much.
Yep. Yeah, it's been really good. All right, so that is episode 1 of this. We're going to do a pick'em show later in the week, so look out for that, or maybe we'll put it out. I don't know when we're going to do it, but we're going to do it. And then, obviously, you guys are here for our Giants content, so check all that out. I appreciate you guys. And I need to figure out a closing line. I didn't think about that before. Probably making some stupid pun that's not even funny. That has to do with
talk football.
No, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that. Something about like a 4-pack. And I'll be like, and I don't know. Just have a freaking great day and follow us. See ya.